Well, a championship in RPL F1 has already been clinched for what now is the 10th time, and we still have racing left in the season. It's not just when the championship's over, the season's over. We still have Las Vegas, China, Texas, Mexico, and Brazil to end off our F123 game cycle here for RPL F1. And it's time for racing in Las Vegas. Who's going to hit the jackpot? Who's going to gamble? Who's going to get it all right here tonight? Well, it's time to find out in the next 2 hours with this event going on. Hello, guys. I'm your commentator for tonight, Ryan Searles, and alongside me, RPL Titan Iron, a driver who's very familiar with these U.S. tracks commentating, but not this one specifically. It'll be his first time commentating Vegas because he was not here last season. Titan, welcome along. Good to have you here. I mean, this is going to be a crazy one for sure, especially with the DRS mind games we saw last season in this race, let alone at this track as a whole and previous Tier 2 races here too.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, missed commentating on this race last season, but I did participate in racing on this track during F2 earlier in the game cycle. Well, it's a unique track. There are some quite long DRS areas, so some DRS games can be enabled here. Some quite tricky corners if you're not careful. But this will be pretty fun. As you mentioned, championships, they're pretty much locked in, but there's still plenty of racing to come ahead.
So the Drivers and Constructors Championships both got clinched last week. Cookie becomes a brand new champion, the second American to take it. Red Bull win a 6th successive Constructors Championship. Fair play to them. They've done really well and they deserved it. Now it's time for the other teams to sit here and claim second place. We'll get into the second place spots for the Drivers and Constructors Championship during the formation lap today. With that being said, let's talk about some previous Vegas races. Of course, you mentioned F2 not too long ago. The only winner here from F2 in this lobby tonight, Luke Range. Obviously, he's looking for his 69th podium in RPL F1. He was supposed to be in the lobby. He's supposed to be racing, but I don't see him in here. We'll go with that in a moment. We'll talk about it. But he won F2 here. You were talking about that F2 event. That was actually ran in the daytime. The only daytime Vegas event we've had. And then last season, home race hero Beatnik ended up scoring points in a Williams. A really good P6 result. And this race was very interestingly decided. The winner on track, Reese Dainty, didn't win the race. Cryptic second, didn't win the race. Korsman third, didn't win the race. But fourth place Jack Miles won it in the storage room for Ferrari.
There's still a few drivers itching to get themselves into some good spots. Looking at some of the drivers' championship, there's still there's a good fight going on for the third place spot. Fifth, not so far behind those guys as well, but then there's a bit of a gap heading towards that top 10. So this will be very fun in regards to that. In the constructors, there's a big fight for second place right now between 3 constructors, and towards the midfield, there's still a bit of action towards the bottom of that pack.
Yeah, I mean, points will be very good for Williams. They had a good points result in this race last season. Their best finish, I believe, in Tier 1 in this game cycle, unless I'm incorrect about a 5th place finish at Imola, I believe, from Grogger, so I'll just double check, but their 6th place finish in this race last season with Beatnik was one of their best ones in terms of this game cycle. Yeah, that's the only time they finished better than 6th. There's that Imola race where Grogger's got 5th, so yeah, lots to look forward to as said before, and even Tier 2 here has had some upsets. We had a big battle for 2nd place in the championship when it was the finale the last time we were here in Tier 2. We also had a big 3-way constructors fight still going. And also during the time before that, the last time we were here in Season 9, it was the Ferraris dancing across the line in a photo finish, while an Alpine took pole position of that person.
Yeah, this is going to be quite fun, and looks like the running up is taking place, so we'll be loading up Currently, we got 16 participating. There is going to be one joining during qualifying. That would have been 19, but apparently we got two drivers, that being Blonde and SLR Metal. Currently, they've been pinged a bunch of times, but they are nowhere to be seen at this present time.
Yeah, it's very interesting that they're not in here. All right, so let's go over some things such as headlines and any penalties. Well, you probably have seen it as well, Titan. Jack is in the Mercedes because Cam, for tonight's event, would have a qualifying ban, but he is not racing to, I guess, prevent himself from getting a season ban because he is 3 penalty points away from that. F2 you spoke about as well at Vegas. That will happen next game for season 19. That will return. We've got a full grid to set it already. However, there's a ton of reserve spots still available and a ton of reserve spots being filled up as well. A lot of people have a lot of interest in F2 for next game. Really great to see. George Alp Williams will be the tier coordinator. So this event tonight in Vegas is the 200th scheduled event. We had 2 times before this that things were canceled for a race weekend in Tier 1. We had F1 in Spain in Season 7 due to attendance, and Season 5 in Saudi due to glitches. The Ferrari Academy added more reserves this week, and speaking of our loans, drivers missing, and reserves, well, let's tell you all about it. RPL Zakaria, welcome back. How about an AlphaTauri spot for tonight for him? He is a part of this academy only for a few more races, and he is in because Vapor.js is not tonight. ATX Carlson is in. He was supposed to make his debut last week, but due to with the rules with drivers getting loaned out last moment or in certain spots, even though he was the full-time Alpine driver, he would have been disqualified because of not serving what would have been a qualifying ban. So now that he's here this week and able to race and here on time, very good to see. It's his proper debut this time, we could say. We've got Jack Andrews making his debut in Haas. He's been the driver at AlphaTauri in Tier 2 for a little bit. We also have as well, by the way, Wavy Knife in the second Aston Martin tonight being called up because Jack is in Mercedes, obviously with Cam missing. Tadpole is in. Luke will be late. There's a lot others missing, I'm pretty sure, besides this, but a smaller grid compared to the 20 we had last season in Las Vegas, and considering it was a great race in Las Vegas last season, Titan, I don't understand why we only have 16.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird for the numbers to be this kind of low because we've had previous Vegas races where the attendance was actually very, very good. I believe Tier 2, we had a full grid of 20. How many showed up for last season's race? Was it 19?
I think it was 20. I think
Okay.
Leon, this was his last race that he did. He got in the Alfa Romeo last moment. He got loaned out there, but he didn't survive past the lap.
Fair enough. And then
that was our 20th.
Yeah, and then in F2 we had 18 for that race. It was a unique and fun event right there. But yeah, one little crazy fact was that a few days ago, back on Thursday, the attendance was really bad. Like at one point we had like for over 24 hours only 8 people deciding to show up.
Yeah, and especially last week where Red Bull Academy got more reserves as well. Ferrari Academy got some more reserves as well. Why in the world do we only have 16 is going to be my question here that I'm going to opposed to the team principals. Titan, our first laps are going though, so we have action on track. 15 minutes left to go in Q1, looking like 2 will be eliminated once Luke Grange joins, but Gecko is on track, and he leads the penalty standings of the drivers. He has a lot of track limit penalties that he's picked up. Not as many penalties come from the stewards room, but you gotta keep yourself within the white lines, and it seems to be an easier thing around this circuit, but that chicane coming up right where that sphere is on the left side at the end of Sector 1 here seems to be a tricky section, and that last corner of Sector 2 and that chicane of Sector 3 seems to be the trickiest spots, but even then, that's not even that tricky at all for drivers to be going out of balance and picking up any sort of track limit warnings. I don't expect many tonight, but I do expect at least have 1 or 2 on this grid.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. And last season, in that area by the Sphere, where on the track map you're seeing an Aston, a Mercedes, and I believe an Alpine going through there. Or no, sorry, not an Alpine. A Williams going through there. But anyways, that little area, you also need to be careful on where you're braking, because for some drivers, it's a bit of a blind corner, and if you're not careful where you're braking, you can wind up causing an incident. Take with last season when Cryptic got into the back of Reese, and Reese wound up spinning out.
Teammate drama? That's what that was. Obviously, you can look at our videos on the YouTube where teammates have crashed and clashed before. But now Gecko is the first one to clock in a time. It's a 33-0. I think we've got more coming across. I'll see who they are.
Medico's the next one that's closest.
Looks like Jack is also on track too. And Minico's on the inners though, so I don't think that's going to be a representative too. Yeah, so I'll look at Jack then, because Jack won our only Vegas event here in Tier 1 last season. Obviously, like I said, in the steward's room. But it's been a long time since he's been in this Mercedes car. It has to go back all the way until, I think, Season 8, the last time he raced for this team. Maybe even before that. But coming across the line, second representative lap, fastest 32.6. His teammate as well, getting a little bit of a tow right behind. That's the fake TB. Let's take you through the circuit. He's had 23 consecutive starts. Ooh, a little bit of a slide there from TB. And Cookie, 4,000s behind as well, clocking in a time. But yeah, you can see right there, TB just nicking in the wall right there on corner exit. This circuit is so tricky when you're putting down the power, because just like Baku, just like Monaco, just like Singapore, the walls are right there and can catch you out. Right here in this corner, we've seen drivers get caught out here before, this chicane, because of rear locking from the braking or trying to avoid cars in front, and it really has caused some incidents. It was Cookie and TB in this area who had an incident in last season's race.
Absolutely, and here comes TB. Now, making his way through this nice and easy right and left-handers into the heavy braking zone of the chicane. A little bit of a wiggle as he gets back up through the gears. This is going to be the fastest to the track involved with the DRS. We expecting speeds quite high. You're looking at speeds over 210 miles an hour, as TB getting close to 215 as he gets past the speed trap. Now into the next heavy braking zone, the chicane here. And nice and easy, no problem with the curb as he works his way through back up to the gears. I mean, this track is pretty quick with some of the speeds. And as TB comes out of the final corner, comes across the line, he's third fastest with a 32.8.
It's been 42 races since the fake TB's last pole position. Can it happen tonight? I don't know with that Mercedes straight line speed, because we spoke about it last season and we'll speak about it again this season with this race. The Mercedes, the Aston, and the Williams cars are absolutely slow in a straight line. We'll be watching out for that, but that's not going to distract Eggles, who is fourth on our board. And how about this guy, John Dainty? It's actually Owen McMoran, but he's just being a little bit funny with us. He's top of our board, 32.4, and he commentated this race last season with me instead of you, Titan, so I'm sure he picked up on a lot of things he probably learned.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, literally, Owen, he is, let's just say easily, he can be, even though he has quite silly moments in his time in RPL, but he's actually calm. He's he's a collective. He's a cool person. He's actually quite track smart, honestly. He knows the inner working. He knows the workings of a lot of these tracks. I mean, given the fact that he is a multi-time Tier 2 champion and pretty much one of the originals of RPL when RPL Tier 1 started. And yeah, for him to be at the top of the board in an Aston Martin is nothing short of impressive.
Metal and Luke have joined the session. to make it 18 drivers. Metal going to be late. Blonde was also going to be late too. J&T needs to mention that next time. I mentioned that to him as well because, especially for whoever's hosting, that's what needs to be put across there. We're now on board with NRM KVS, who's picking up a slipstream from the AlphaTauri driver in front. I'm not sure if that's Gecko or Zakari. It's Gecko, actually. And Gecko used to be a part of this academy, so very interesting that there's a slipstream being picked up there. The Chiller fastest in Q1 right now. He was in Q3 in AlphaTauri last season in this race. But NRM KVS now coming through this section, though. Alfa Romeo only had a best finish this season of 4th. They have not seen the front row since the last game cycle. But if you want a guy to upset people here at Vegas, this might be the guy. Second fastest right now in Q1. And like I said about upsetting people, that happened in the Tier 2 race where that person took a pole position for Alpine, their only one in Tier 2. Now, speaking of pole positions, Titan, how about we go on board with Reese Dainty, who helped claim the Constructors' Championship for Red Bull last week and is now trying to get second place over Skither and TB, currently 4th in the championship. A little bit disappointing from him, but very, very good on the achievement he was able to get last week. 48 Tier 1 podiums.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Reese, last season's champion, he is probably one of the most reliable RPL drivers on this grid. I mean, whether if he's a driver number 1 or driver number 2, he is one of the most dependable and reliable drivers on this grid. I mean, literally, if I could easily just compare him to something, Reese is practically the Swiss Army knife of RPL. He can literally handle himself in anything, and he will do his best to get you points.
We're now going to ride on board with Carlson here as he goes down the strip. And he's going to have an Aston Martin in front that he'll have as traffic. I think that is...
That's wavy
knife on a lap. Yeah, actually, that's interesting that they're both very, very close to one another on laps. But Carlson getting his first taste of RPL Q1 action here. I know last week he was in Q1, but he wasn't supposed to be technically after he was qualifying. And this is one of the now full-time drivers that Cookie was able to bring in. And Alpine obviously got the pole position they did in Tier 2 in this race prior, but let's see what this guy can do. Across the line, fastest. And that's the exact margin, funnily enough, Titan, that person took pole over in the Tier 2 race 3 seasons ago in that tier. But my goodness, we've got quite the qualifying hooked up because Red Bull right now, I know it's only Q1, but they're having to go out again being only 7th and 10th.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these guys are just trying to get their bearings back onto racing this track again. And some of these guys, I mean, it literally comes down to the setups because you never know what speeds you're going to be seeing from some of these drivers. I mean, we'll just take like the Mercedes, for example, going to around 215 before as they pass the speed trap. Scyther, unless someone else had a faster, and Carlson as well. They had 218. Good God, who the heck just clocked the wall there? That was TB that clocked the wall in turn 3.
I don't know how damage in the world they didn't pick up damage.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
That was quite crazy. Let's get on board with some of these drivers and talk you through the circuit. I'll give it to you in just a moment, Titan, but this sphere right here to our left-hand side was one of the things being mentioned the first time F1 ran here. Going around that chicane definitely feels like I'm basically doing circles in that sphere. That's how tough it can be on a driver, and most times you will have to go single file on that area. Now down to here, Reese Dainty tapped the back of Tadpole in this race last season in this area, so you have to get your braking just right. Another incident that happened in that area too was J&T Gaming and Bonkers for what was deciding second place in the Drivers' Championship with Gecko and Bonky, and also the Constructors' title as well. Now down this strip here, the most the Mercedes can hit here is 218. Now the other cars can go past that. These cars, the Mercedes, Astons, and Williams, can't. So as they go through that section and now go through this 3-cornered chicane, you gotta make sure you hit it right. And I think TB's coming back in because of that damage. But Cookie, no sweat to him. He's back out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was seeing in the speed trap as Metal comes across. He's only 13th fastest with a 33.0. That leaves Jack Andrews, aka Oat, the only one yet to set a lap, and he is currently going down the strip as we speak. He's just passing the speed trap at 2:17, which is so far one of the, I think in regards to the teams, that's the second slowest that I have seen. The slowest I've seen in the speed trap was Mercedes at 2:15. The highest was a three-way tie between the Alpine, the Ferrari, and the McLarens with 2:19 at the speed trap.
You know what's interesting about Owen when he was top of the board? He's actually never done a Vegas race here in RPL tier 2 or even F2 or even F1. It's very interesting indeed because the fact that there's 2 tier 2 races done here. One he couldn't do because he was champion already and was out of the tier. The other one being one he couldn't make when he was the champion of tier 2 that same season. The 2 seasons prior, but same tier that he was champion. He just couldn't make the race. And also, it's interesting because the F1 event here last season, he was commentating with me. So, first Vegas event for him, and I'm very surprised by that. Cookie, top of our board. Carlson, second as well. They're both safe and into the next round. Carlson thinks so as well. Who should we go on board with here who's going to get a lap in here of our drivers? I know Wavy Knife is going too soon. I don't think anyone else is currently on a lap besides Egg. So, I'll get to Egg. Egg's actually down by a second on the timing boards. I mean, I do want to talk us through the circuit and talk about anything that we can really get to, but I'll tell you right now, though, before we can get to any laps, we have Tadpole retiring, maybe believing he's safe, but below that, Luke Range trying to get his 69th Tier 1 podium, currently in that bottom 3. Zakaria, who has been here for quite a while in RPL. It's been 186 races since his debut. He's here as well, and in that bottom 3. And Jack Andrews with his Tier 1 debut as well. So quite the 3 drivers in that bottom 3 area relegated right now.
What number podium is Luke going after again?
He's going for his 69th Reese Dainty, clocking the wall too. That's the second guy in that area. I know it's a little bit different compared to real life. They wouldn't be hitting that wall Titan, but the exit of 5 there, it's getting tricky for the drivers. Reese Dainty, I'll have you take it away. 69th podium he's looking for. Lucas.
Nice. But yeah, Reese, we'll have to wait and see if that little clock at the wall has affected his time a little bit. It's just marginally. It's about 16 thousandths down, but not looking too bad as he heads into the braking zone of I'm a little bit illiterate with my corners, so I'll have to take a look at the map again later. But here he comes down the strip. A very long DRS down the way. I believe this is a 1.2 kilometer straightaway. Very quick, very fast. Hits the speed trap around 2:17. Not bad as he makes his way through the 3-corner chicane here. Ooh. Makes it through. Little wiggle woggle there. I'm not sure if he clocked the wall again. Flying up through the gears, getting back. Here comes to the final corner. Let's see what he's got for improvement. And it is a slight improvement. He was 11th. Now it's a 6.
So Gecko is currently down on the time, but he needs to get back to the checkered flag just in time in order to get another lap in, but I don't think he'll do it. Wavy Knife currently on the bubble. Can he improve and get into Q2? He's going to put Metal onto the bubble spot now, and just behind that, Luke Range trying to get to the checkered flag in the thick of time to start a lap. Luke Range will do it. Luke Range across the line and will get a lap in here. It was one of the night races the last time he took pole position. Singapore last season. Now across the line, Zakaria, Gecko, all them looking to improve. Gecko avoiding the lap, going to the pit lane, obviously was not going to improve, but now it's up to his teammate Zakaria, who could be knocking Tadpole or Metal out. Metal is currently on the bubble, and the checkered flag has waved for him. Zakaria was up by 4/10 in the first sector. He's going to need more for the second, but now here he comes down the Las Vegas Strip, and the sector split is coming up right now. It is 6/10 up on the time. This should be good enough if he continues to improve in Sector 3.
Yeah, currently at this time, he has enough to knock Metal out of Q1 and will be just about on par with Tadpole. Let's see what he's got as he comes out of the final corner. And let's see what he's got. And that time is, yeah, it's 12 fastest. So now Tadpole at the risk of being knocked out. Luke, by the way, was nearly 2/10 down.
Wow.
In Sector 1. So something happened here, and he's improved, but by barely much. So Luke is at risk of being knocked out of Q1.
3.5 tenths in this last sector in order to improve. Skither, 4th fastest on our timing charts, by the way, when he crossed the checker flag, but Luke Range cannot do it. He's in the wall. Jack Andrews also crossed the line, and he's out. But Luke Range, a big shock here for McLaren, out of qualifying.
Yeah, that you do not see. I mean, the only time I think you'd see Luke out of Q1, not take part in Q1, is either if he's running late to miss Q1, or he had to serve a qualifying ban. I think out of all the times I've done commentary, this is probably the first time I've ever seen Luke like put a legitimate lap to fail to make it to out of Q1.
Yeah, because even when he was in Williams last season reserving twice, I'm pretty sure he got out of Q1, but just barely. Or maybe he was barely knocked out of Q1. I don't know. It was very close, I remember, in the Williams, but not to the extent where he's in such a faster car and able to do much better. He was a full second behind his teammate Minico. Wow. Tadpole is definitely thankful that he was saved, he's saying. So here's your top 5 heading into Q2. We've got Cookie and Carlson, our top 2. How about that from Carlson in the Alpine? Maybe going to pull off a shock there. The Chiller, Skither, and Minico, our top 5. And relegated out of that bottom area, Metal, making his Tier 1 return. Luke Range, out. Jack Andrews, Tier 1 debut, out. Metal as well, I believe he did the F2 race here in Vegas, so he's got some Vegas experience, but not enough to get through, and I'm sure with joining late and limited practice, it's no surprise that he's out, but fair play at least to not be out by a lot with that Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, you're actually right. Metal does have some experience. He does have experience when he raced F2 here in RPL earlier in the game cycle. He's also, well, I mean, on my viewpoint, he's had a Vegas experience in another league as well, alongside with me. But I've not seen Metal handle himself in an F1 car at this track. But I mean, just missing out on Q2, sitting in 16th in an Alpha. It's not too bad, but I mean, he's got some improvements that he has to show up on. But here we go. We are now in Q2, and I believe George joined. I'm not sure if he's at. Well, I know he's not racing because
this might be good for Blonde though to get the spot he needs for whatever car he's in though. So that may be a good idea. Therefore, no one else can take it. So fair play with that. Invade also just let us know in the Twitch chat that Metal also just finished a race before this, so that's also a fair point as to maybe why he was out of qualifying there. Luke Range, though, I can't believe that. That's a very big shock. You also just allowed Zakaria to go through with both AlphaTauris. AlphaTauri really needed something like this to happen to them. They've had some decent performances this season when Blonde has been in their car, or even Cryptic. They've had some outstanding performances, but that's really their only points finishes. They got back to Q3 for the first time this season, last week for the first time in 13 races. It's been a long while for them. But Gecko and Zakaria both through. I think that's my shock of the session, I would say. And Carlson being P2 right there. Fair play to both of them.
Hmm. I absolutely agree with you on that one. And Luke going out of Q1, that's also a big shock to me. But I mean, like shocks of the season, like so far, like shocks of the season. I mean, Gecko and Zakaria, these two putting the Alpha Towers through to Q2. Um, this is probably this is probably the second most shocking thing that I've seen this season. I mean, the most shocking was Beatnik and Zakaria earlier in the season in Baku, putting both Williams in Q3.
I think as a team performance, I would agree with that, but as a singular performance, I don't know if I agree. I know Blon was able to get 4th in an AlphaTauri. De Chiller got 4th in an Alfa Romeo at Zandvoort, and NRM KVS has put that Haas up higher than need be, but now he's full-time in the Alfa Romeo, so he doesn't need to do that with the Haas. Speaking of Williams, that we didn't mention on that lineup of best finishes this season, 8th place for them. Egg has had a lot of finishes recently where it's been 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. Well, guess what? He's in the Williams again to try to get 1 point here. And maybe this is the circuit to do it. Here he comes through the heavy braking zone now, just touching the wall with the rear wheel right there. And that could be such a tricky area, as you saw the Aston Martin in the background touch the wall as well. But now through the sphere chicane section here from Egg, left, right, left. And this area you can see a lot of dive bombs happen right there, but we might not see it happen unless we see some desperate moves. But now just hug the right side here. Don't clip the wall. And then now toward this braking zone, this curbing right here on this left side can be tricky for a driver. You have to either don't hit it at all, or you have to hit it at the right angle. And now he comes down the strip here. Will he max out at 218?
See what happens as Egg flies down the strip. Just basically at the moment, he'll be the benchmark for Q2 as he's flying up through the gears, and he gets to around 216 in the braking zone, and he was also 216 in the speed trap. So a little slight improvement there, a little bump of the wall, but as Egg gets back through the gears and flying his way down, and he will come across the line to set the benchmark, 32.6 for the Williams.
We'll continue to ride on board with some laps here as folks cross the line. We have Tadpole, Wavy, Owen, just a 1,000th off the teammate, Academy teammate right there. We have McLaren next, that's Minico, obviously the only McLaren in this qualifying session. He's up there in 3rd. Next are the Mercedes, Jack Miles going fastest, 32.5. And we're just edging closer to the pole time here set last season, 31.4. 32.2 now from De Chiller, he's going faster. Next are the AlphaTauri boys. Gecko is going to start a lap, Cookie starts a lap. How about we go on board with Cookie then around the circuit? At one of his home races of the 3, turn 1, 2, and 3 here, and now 4, and here he comes exiting 4 with the DRS applied now. It was this race last season that he switched to PC and the start of the magicness from him, but let's see what it's like this season here in Vegas in the better Red Bull car. Not really any close to the wall in comparison to what we've seen from other drivers, but now this area can be so tricky with the chicane. You gotta touch the curbs. You can't ride them, but you gotta touch them. And now, coming out of the chicane, you have yourself set up perfectly here toward the strip. Sector split. What's it going to be? It's a 44.3.
There comes Cookie now coming out of the braking zone on down the Vegas strip now. Let's see what kind of a speed he's willing to fire up on the strip. His teammate Breeze in the speed trap and in the braking zone was 217. Let's see if Cookie can match that. He hits the speed trap at 217 and hits the braking zone at 217. So Cookie on par in regards to the speed, just like his teammate. Makes his way easily through that 3-corner chicane, flying his way up and through the gears. Now into the last corner. Let's see what kind of an improvement he's got for his time. And it is a 32.5. So only a couple tenths off as Carlson smacks his way to the top of the board.
Carlson really proving that last week, not doing the sign-up form, or, joining in late. It was Nick Bonventre, his teammate, who did not do the sign-up form. Lone teammate, of course. There that I got that confused with. Carlson, yeah, proving that last week with, you know, doing qualifying and not doing the race after that because he was going to be disqualified was just a fluke in terms of what we were shown. He invalidated his lap time and ended up not making it out of Q1 even with the qualifying ban that he was supposed to serve, but enter KVS, fourth fastest for Alfa Romeo. This is really interesting from KVS, Egg, and Carlson, who've really outperformed their cars, because what this has done now is it's put Skits, Zakaria, Wavy, TB, and Gecko in the bottom 5, going to be relegated currently. Here's Skither crossing the line. He didn't get to race Las Vegas last season, but he's had some really good races in the United States tracks. He's going to go top of the table, 20 thousandths up ahead of Carlson. It's interesting, though, because now we've got 3 different teams in that top 3.
Yeah, this is this is quite an interesting one, and the wild thing is that only one of those 3 in that top 3 is not part of the big 3. We have that Alpine just chilling there in second.
Oh no! Gecko
Ooh.
is out of qualifying.
What the heck happened to him?
He crashed into the pit lane, and that's a major shunt from Gecko.
Oh Lord.
I don't know if anyone saw that on the stream, but that was definitely scary. Titan, before we end up going 2 more laps, I have a question for you. Look at where TB's going through now. Look at to the left side. I asked Owen this question last season. What RPL moment should be put in that sphere?
Oh, I mean,
there's many.
There could be many things that could go in there. Like shocking upsets, crazy wrecks, wild overtakes.
Leon's only F2 win. That's what I put on there. That's what I put. I'd put that. At this point,
I had a feeling you were a Leon meat rider.
At least at this point, honestly, for the amount of crap he's been getting in Tier 2, we may as well put Redfire Tiger's only win up there. Do you remember when that came? Equal revival in early May of 2021. Almost been 3 years since Redfire Tiger's only tier, RPL win. It was in the equal tier. Here's Miniko now on a lap, 10th place. He's currently just above the cutoff zone, and if he can get himself up on the time, he can get himself through. But with 1 McLaren out, I don't know if we can get 2 McLarens out. I don't know if I can handle that, especially considering both of them made it Q3 in this race last season, and it was Korsman on the front row to Reese Dainty who was on pole. But Miniko coming in through the chicane now, looks clean through here, and this should be at least an improvement of a little bit. But how much? Will it be marginally? Will it be by a lot? 7/10ths!
Yeah, that's going to put him right around the 32-0, which at the moment is going to be about pole. He had a little lockup into that corner before the strip. Now flying his way down to DRS with that open as he's just getting close, staying close to that wall as he makes his way through, and it didn't change up. That little lockup didn't hinder his time. He's almost 9/10ths up. Now to the chicane, the 3 corners. 1, 2, 3. Woo, a little close to that wall there, but keeps it together. Miniko's just flying his way through as he comes through the final corner now. Let's see what pole's going to be temporarily for Q2. 31.7.
Our pole time in this race last season was a 31.4 in Tier 2. The last time we were here, it was a 31.1. We're already getting closer to that. Excuse me, I'm speaking a little too fast here in this session. Speaking of going a little too fast, TB, 5/10ths up. It looks like Miniko is not the only one up on the time. TB, heavy into the braking zone, almost went a little too deep, and now hopping over the curbs, clipping the wall with the rear tire, and now just 1 more corner to go. It's flat out. Just dart left, get to the line, don't invalidate. Here he comes. It's safely through, but only 9th, though, so that's very interesting that TB was not improving by a whole lot, but improved only just enough to be just barely safe. Jack Miles is up on the time right now as well. He's coming through the same section you talk about, Titan. 1, 2, 3. It looked like through 2 right there, the second part of the chicane, he was almost close to invalidating. That curb right there, if you just go barely over it, you can invalidate every once in a while, but Jack Miles looks to be clean. Second fastest on our boards right now. He's safely in, and that knocks out Owen to the bottom 5 right now. He will need an improvement, but the one who's going to need an improvement surely, and has not set a lap thus far, RPL Zakaria. He's the only AlphaTauri they're relying on, and I don't think he did this race last season, but I'll tell you right now, I've got some good hope here for him to get close to Q3.
Yeah, it's highly likely with Zakaria to possibly see himself into Q3. It's likely, it may happen. You never know. The poll time for Tier 1 just got smashed away as Cookie just said 31-2.
Well, it shows what the difference between used tires and new tires here are in Q2 and just in qualifying as a whole. Chat, you may as well start getting your predictions in for poll time when we get there. Either way, Zakaria now coming through, clipping the wall and invalidating there for the first time when we've rode on board with somebody. That's exactly what can happen if you just tap the wall right there or get so close to it. You can invalidate. Zakaria is coming back to the pit lane, and this is actually going to be it from him. I think he may have picked up damage from that wall he clipped there, and this is it from him in qualifying. He is out. Wavy Knife is up on the time, though. 3/10. Is this going to be more when we cross the sector split? It's only 4/10. So, Titan, he needs to continue to find the time here, but I don't know if he's going to do it.
Yeah, Wavy's going to have to really pull something here to do it. Even with that improvement, he's still going to be staying in that P14 spot. I mean, Wavy, the team principal of the Mercedes Academy, as he comes across the line, and yeah, he does improve, but he's still 14. So
that's catastrophic.
Unfortunately, that is going to be the end of Wavy. Meanwhile, his teammate Owen is actually improving. He's 700 up from Sector 1.
Owen McMoran may be feeling like he doesn't have a dad today. He's showing support for Reese Dainty's dad, John Dainty. Here he comes, about to get a slipstream from the Ferrari driver in front of him. That was DeChiller or Skitzer. Either one are on outlaps right there. Here comes Owen McMoran to end off the sector split. Oh, sliding there,
Whoa!
Spinning and crashing. This will need an improvement, and hopefully he didn't get any damage in the process.
I don't think he did. He
Wow.
might have gotten a little bit of damage on that floor because he had a little hippity hop with the curb of the first turn, and that really set his car off balance into a spin. And unfortunately, that will be it for Owen. I mean, at the moment, if he kept his nose clean and did not spin out via the Sector 2 time, he would have been not only ahead of Egg, knocking him down to the bottom 5, but he would also put TB at risk of being eliminated.
That's crazy, especially considering that TB thought he was safe, and Tadpole right now is up by a 10th, but he's going to need more. And here we go across the line. Wavy Knife is currently out. He crashed in the pit lane too for good measure. Enter him KVS. What a nice upset to Q3, P4. Tadpole as well, next across the line to try and improve. Will he do it? ERS already deployed and used. Now he's 10th across the line. He's just barely safe, but Egg is improving. 3/10 up on the time. This could be a big upset from him, and maybe if Owen would have done it, it would have knocked TB out, but I don't think it's going to do it. The interesting thing from Owen right there, Titan, was that he crashed in a spot to where he could have ended up crossing the line, still able to do it. But the thing is, though, he ran out of ERS, so that's what screwed him majorly. Egg is through into Q3 for Williams. So another upset there from them.
Yeah, this is wild because I believe this is the third time this season that we have seen a Williams enter Q3. We had Zakaria and Beatnik and Baku. Let's see, who was it? Beatnik that did it again in Spain.
I
think
don't
that's
remember if
what
it
it
was
was.
Spain or Baku, but
Yeah, I know Williams got through to Q3 in Spain, and now Egg joins that club as being the third. It's the third driver, the third time this season that we've seen a Williams in that Q3.
if you look at John Dainty right now, it looks like he's trying to find his son. Well, I will say for Egg's sake, though, a Williams being into Q3, it's not the first time he's done it as a driver, though, because he did it back in Singapore just a few weeks ago. Also, NRM KVS, another good shout out here. Second week in a row, he's dragged that Alfa Romeo into Q3, but this time he didn't do it just barely. He did it by quite the margin. And Carlson, on his first proper race weekend, is through. It was interesting because last week we had the top 5 teams that finished in the top 10. And the week before that, we had the top 10 teams that were through into Q3. Or sorry, the top 5 teams in the top 10 of Q3, excuse me. But now this week in the top 10 of Q3, we've got both Red Bulls, we've got 1 McLaren, 2 Mercedes, 1 Alfa Romeo, 2 Ferraris, an Alpine, and a Williams. So it's quite the diverse Q3 we're about to get here, Titan. But relegated out of qualifying here includes the following drivers: Tadpole for Alpine, both Astons, Owen and Wavy, and AlphaTauri have Gecko and Zakaria out.
And what's more wild is that I just seen those times literally from second to ninth, separated by under half a second between those 8 drivers. And literally Reese, who was 5th, down to ninth place, down to the 9th place car. Literally, that was close as well. Only a 1/10 of a second separated 5th to 9th.
If we had the close Q2 that we did there in Q3, this is going to be an interesting Q3 with that being said, because Williams only have a best qualifying as 6th going all the way back to Season 3 France. And don't be shocked to see maybe Egg pull off the upset here and get high enough if we have enough drivers make errors on their laps. We spoke about in Q1 how tough it is to put the power down here in traction zones. We spoke about certain points where you can invalidate your lap time. It's not as frequent here, but we saw some people do it there in Q2. And we saw people clocking those walls right there as well, whether it comes from the rear tires there at turn 6 or the front tires there at turn 5. Whatever it is, it can probably provide Egg or KVS here to pull off a big upset. But the guy who could be even chasing pole in terms of upsets here, just like that person did in Tier 2 Season 9's race here, Carlson for Alpine. He could do it. Get your predictions in the chat, folks, for Q3. Last time we were here in Tier 2 and Tier 1, our pole times were a 31.1 and a 31.4. Q2 just saw a 31.2 set by Cookie. And Cookie is looking for yet another pole position. It would be his 19th.
I haven't done it in a while, but I think this time I wind up doing it. I have figured out, I've basically decided on what I believe pole is going to be and who is going to have it done. Pole sitter, it's obvious. It's going to be Cookie. But the pole time I'm predicting, and this is going to be a big one, I am predicting Cookie to do a 30.9.
Wow. Well, my top 3 will be Egg, Carlson, KVS. I'm kidding. All right, the chiller on a lap now. Here he comes. He got into Q3 with an AlphaTauri last season here, but this time he's with the other Italian team, the Italian driver in Ferrari. Here he comes through 1, 2, 3, and 4. Such sweeping sections. And now out of the exit here, look at how close he is to that wall. Just dragging that Ferrari to the left side. DRS applied, and he's already almost below halfway on the tank of that ERS. You could just see the difference in managing it. Now here he comes through turn 6 right here, next to the wall, giving it a little tap right there, but not going to harm him at all. Now, hugging the inside here on the left side here, and so easy to lock up. You could just see the lockup he pulled right there, but almost clocked the wall in the process. Left, right, left now. Here he comes out of the exit of Sector 1 now. And what's the sector split going to be? We've seen some good ones. It's a 43-8. How will that compare to the other drivers on track, the other 9? Now, brake heavy for this zone. Don't lock up, though. Get close to that curb. Don't touch it, though, because you can jump over it and lose the rear or lose time. But now down the strip here, the Chiller's looking pretty good in this lap, and we've seen him put in some pretty good laps so far this season when he's raced for Ferrari, but this one so far through Sector 1 and Sector 2 is one of the better ones he's done. What's the sector split? 10-0. Now just a few more corners remaining.
Now into the heavy braking zone of the three-corner chicane. 1, 2, 3. Nice and easy through there. No jimmy jammy with the curbs. As the Chiller flying his way through. Now into the final corner to set the first benchmark. That benchmark is a 32.3 for him. And jeez, Egg.
Wow. Egg goes provisional pole just to get it beaten by Jack Miles by a slim margin. How about the teammate next of TB who's not seen a pole in a while? He's going to go front row. And next, the Ferrari is up next. That is Skither going 31.6. But what will the Red Bulls do? Reese Dainty's first. Reese Dainty, his last pole came here, but he's absolutely nowhere. Minico next across the line. Only 6 fastest. And here comes Cookie to try to smack them all off the top of the table. Here he comes across the line at one of his home races. 31.3, that's the time to beat. Next is Interim KVS. This has been a great qualifying session from him. Can he better it in Q3? Only 8th, but ahead of Reese Dainty. And now Carlson trying to knock them all off as well. He's done really well in qualifying, but this is the session where it all matters.
Absolutely, and Carlson working his way, flying his way down the strip. In the sector one time, he was just about 2/10 off from Cookie, as he now heads into the heavy braking zone for the strip. 1, 2, 3, nice and easy with that line, as he roars the Alpine down into the final corner.
Oh my
comes
God.
Across the line. Let's see what he's looking at.
Front row.
And he's front row.
That is
Wow.
absolutely incredible from the Alpine driver. Right now, if I'm correct about this, we've got, I believe, I just want to double check, I think an American 1, 2, 3. Well, it says he's Swedish, but I'm pretty sure he's American. I'll have to double check with Cookie, but even then, an Alpine on the front row, the last time we saw that, that's been a long while. At least for Tier 1 sakes. My goodness.
I believe the last time we've seen it, I think the last time we've seen an Alpine
Not this
in the
season, I
front
know
row,
that.
I believe it was, I may be incorrect, it was
AFJ.
Beatnik back in season, I think it was probably Beatnik back in Season 7 in Canada, when he put that Alpine on pole position.
Yeah, but did AFJ do it in a Mercedes or an Alpine when he did it? I think he did it in Alpine at Hungary, if I'm correct. He put it on the front row. If it was in the front row, it was definitely P3. I know that. And that Hungary race back in Season 8.
I forgot about AFJ, honestly.
Well, he's in the Twitch chat right now asking to be unbanned. Well,
I mean, even if he does come back, he still has a qualifying ban to serve. He has a qualifying ban from like 2 seasons ago.
all right, he is Swedish. Just want to check that. The flag is legit. I didn't think it was, considering it was one of Cookie's friends, but the last Swedish pole position we had in RPL comes from Maxwell, I want to say. That comes from Season 7. So, Alpine haven't had a pole since Season 7. Sweden hasn't had a pole in Tier 1 since Season 7. Can he pull off the upset? I mean, I think Zakaria was questioned. He said, is he the new hacker? Cookie said, no, his pace is legit. It's a PC 123. And with that being said, I'd say the biggest disappointment here from so far in qualifying has been Reese Dainty. 10th right now on the table. He was wondering how he got pole position in this race last season, and now he doesn't even have the pace to do it. Something I just want to mention, Titan, as Cookie comes out of the pit exit. We have not talked a lot about this, but a big talking point in this race, surely, will be the fact that that pit exit is so weird to where there's barely any space coming out of it, especially when racing side by side there.
Oh yeah, it can be really screwy if you're not careful, because literally as you come out, as the white line for the pit exit ends, you're literally coming out right into the racing line of traffic, and if there are other cars fighting side by side, if you're not careful, it can be a major disaster. We've seen it happen in F2 back in season 17. We had it happen during the main race, but I mean, yeah, if you're not careful, it can really screw you up.
It's gonna, like, bite you like the Dover Monster does. Well, I'll tell you this. We've got drivers coming back out on track right now for their second and probably final laps. I just want to give a small recap, though, for those of you who were not here yesterday for Tier 2. It was J&T Gaming taking his first career win, and he took a 4th straight pole. Cookie's looking for a 3rd straight pole, but will we see a new winner just like J&T Gaming did yesterday, or even maybe a new pole sitter? We'll have to find out. Get your predictions in now in the Twitch chat. With that being said, one other thing to mention as well for those of you just joining back the Twitch chat, like AFJ or others. Tier 2 next week is in Bahrain, and then F1 will be at China next week for those of you interested in watching. But now, here comes Cookie starting a lap. Darting to the left side, trying to find all the time he can, and now going to hug that white line there to try to get a good entry for turn 1. Now he's got turn 2, and this is such a sweeping section when you get to turn 3. He almost goes to the wall right there on the left side, Cookie does, but that's how much he's trying to find the time. He's just right against these walls, Titan, and now he comes through the heavy braking zone here, where we saw trouble on lap 1 last season.
Yeah, it's Cook just working its way through the gears, handling through that corner. That's a sweeping left towards the sphere chicane. There's a Ferrari just chilling right there. That is Skither just chilling right there, staying out of the way. There's the Alpha KVS. Here comes Cookie. Yeah, he's having such an on me. Oh, you gotta be freaking kidding me. This is just mental to see.
It is. Still 90 seconds to go. Everyone out on track. DRS now applied here down the strip. Let's see what he revs out as. Red Bull and Alpine have 2 of the fastest straight line cars, and you could see him picking up a slipstream from the Mercedes. 4/10 up on the time. This could be a 30 from Cookie, our season 10 champion at Vegas. He's already won at Miami before. He's got pole position there before. He's got pole position at Texas before. That was his 2nd ever one. And now for his 19th one provisionally. Across the line he comes. We're into the 30s. Cookie extends pole position.
I told you we were going to see a 30.
The Chiller's up on the time majorly too. 7/10. The Chiller has not seen a pole position since the end of last season. Across the line, only a front row.
Oh, this is going to be wild here, to say the least, as the last of these cars are coming across to get their final laps in. KVS is in and through. Here it comes Reese. Yeah, Reese is the last one across with only 15 seconds to go. Let's see who's the first one to finish the lap, and that is going to be Jack.
Purple by 2/10 in the 2nd sector. Jack Miles. It has been 41 races since his last pole position. Can he pull off an upset here at Vegas while the checkered flag is flying? Only 5th on our timing charts right now. He had a good qualifying last week for Aston, but this week in the Mercedes, he can only stay 5th. Next up is Minico, up by 5/10 in the sector split. That's pretty good considering he can beat Jack and best him in that best of the rest lineup right there. I don't expect him to go anything like top 4, but I can tell you right now, Minico never having a pole position here. I'd at least expect an improvement across the line now. It will be 4th fastest. Interesting there.
Eggs invalidated.
That's not good from him. We've got TB next as well, followed by Carlson. TB across the line. Not gonna go pole position, but Carlson was up by 2/10 and defends the front row. The first front row for Alpine in over 2 seasons, it seems. Next are the Ferraris. First, Skither. The Chiller couldn't go for a second run, but Skither could steal pole away. It could be a second of the season. Across the line, only 3rd fastest. Now, Reese Dainty, pole position in this race last season. That was his last time on pole. Can he make it a 3rd Red Bull front row lockout in a row? No, only 5th. It's Cookie on pole position once again. And he's going to do it at another U.S. track. Doing it at Texas, Miami, and now Vegas.
What's wild is that before Carlson's lap, he was up over 2nd place by over 0.6 of a second, and then literally 0.4 of a second. But then Scyther and Carlson responded with some bangers, and they're just over 0.3 behind Cookie. But yeah, Cookie on pole position, Carlson 3rd, and Skither rounds out the top 3. I mean, literally, this is the same group that we had at the end of Q2.
This is crazy. This is crazy. Well, here's our lineup. Cookie with a 30.9. Then you have Carlson for Alpine on the front row. The 2 Ferraris. Reese Dainty running out the top 5. And both Mercedes back there 7-8.
This is just nuts.
So, I want to go over the championship standings very quickly before we get into the race and talk about our run to turn 1. We have Skither, who is 2nd place in the championship right now with a 40-point gap on TB in 3rd. And Dainty is 6 points behind TB in the championship, who is sitting 3rd. But I think that'll be the big battle for 3rd rather than trying to get 2nd, because I think if Skither keeps putting in decent performances like he just did in qualifying now in the race, I think he's got that 2nd place quite locked up. But I don't think McLaren has 2nd place locked up as easily. They may have a pole position this season. They may have a race win this season. Maybe even 2 of them to be exact. But 20-point gap over Ferrari in 3rd place, and Mercedes are right behind Ferrari as well. And their qualifying with Minico and Luke does not look good at all.
Well, this will be a fun race to see, as everyone is just getting their setups, getting their final setups set up. They're getting their tire strategy set up. It'll be interesting to see what will happen.
Maybe take a look at the audit log if you want to have a laugh before this event. Jack Miles updated Reese Dainty's name.
Oh, no! That's just wrong.
Well, yeah. McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, a big battle for 2nd place still in the Constructors' Championship. Also something to note as well, in the Constructors' Championship, a battle still brewing for 8th, 9th, and 10th between Haas, Alfa Romeo, and Williams. Big points in offer for a race like tonight where straight line speed doesn't really mean anything for the Williams, Mercedes, and Astons. They're awful on the straight lines. But realistically, you have a chance to get a good result if this ends up being a crazy race like it was last season where Beatnik capitalized. Even NRM KVS being 10th can capitalize. We'll have to find out. Alpine as well, trying to hold on for 6th. I think they can clinch it before the final race in Brazil. Here are our strategies for tonight's event, Titan. We've got soft to mediums being a possibility. We've got soft to hards being a possibility. And most of this grid could also be going mediums, hards, hards, mediums, that reverse strategy. We have 2 guys in the softs, that's Tadpole and Reese. The rest of the field being on mediums and hards. But watch for that start from De Chiller on his teammate Skither and Carlson on the hards. Very interesting there. Cookie on mediums. Blonde being our 19th one to join us. He's on hards at the back of the field. But yeah, mostly mediums and hards this field is made up of, which shall be interesting on a run to turn 1, which is very short.
Oh yeah, I mean, literally, this is probably one of the. I think this is probably one of the shortest runs down to turn 1. Running alongside with Baku, and it's basically one of the shortest to turn 1 in regards to the track. But this is going to be wild to say the least. But yeah, as you mentioned, 2 drivers, Reese and Tadpole, at the on the softs. Yeah, on the softs for this race, and then the rest of the field is just evenly mixed between mediums and hards. Actually, I think there's more mediums than hard tire guys. Anywho, let's take a peek here. Okay, so looks like our main guy, he had to step away for just a brief moment. I'll be taking care of the coverage of this field. Looks like on him we're on with Cookie as improperly put himself in the grid spot.
Huh,
yeah,
interesting.
He parked himself a little too far ahead in the grid spot.
Well, it's our 200th scheduled Tier 1 event. And it's not the Tier 1 200th race yet, but since those 2 events were scheduled, I'll give it to you, Titan, once we come to the 5 red lights for a NASCAR type of style start, since we are in America.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, that should be tons of fun. All right.
As Blonde is the last to line up, and we'll be ready to go.
The 3rd U.S. race of the season is about to kick underway with the 5 red lights coming on.
And here we go. Buggity, buggity, buggity. Let's go racing, and thank you very much.
Cookie covers off Carlson quite well, side by side between the 2 Ferraris there for 3rd place. Reese trying to stick his nose in there, and he's done that beautifully, just pushing Skidder to the side there. But now, on the run to turn 6, Carlson has the Chiller for company, and it's 2nd place being challenged already. Crash at the back, that's Tadpole. Tadpole, the one being affected in the wall, but now the Chiller tries to take 2nd place, and they all get calm here on the run to turn 6, unlike last season.
Yeah, Carlson trying to keeping the Chiller at bay, even though he is on the harder compound tire. Those tires are going to take a little bit longer to fire up and away. But Reese, by the way, trying to take an early advantage of the soft compound tire. The Chiller going the long way around on this corner, and looks like Jack Andrews has gone around in turn number 8.
Carlson going to let him have it, but almost hitting the back of him. That's going to push him out wide, and Reese Dainty will take advantage. Reese Dainty taking advantage massively, same with Skither, and now TB wants in on the action too. The batteries being dumped, and it's just allowing Cookie to pull away.
Yeah, Cookie already nearly 2 seconds ahead of the Chiller, who's in 2nd place, but not for long. Here comes Cookie's teammate Reese down the inside into the chicane. He gets it done. Ooh, baby!
Almost too deep right there. Luckily, got it in just enough ahead of the Chiller, and now that the deployment's been used from these guys already, you can see the Chiller on the battery down to 25% as they run to turn 1. Cookie leads his teammate though. Skither down the inside. Carlson there for company around the outside, and it looks
Carlson
like he concedes it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, Carlson thought of attempting around the outside against Seitler, but just decided to change his mind and didn't want to go for it. But Carlson now has TB up behind him. We have a decent little train right behind here, and looking at, and I'm just taking a look. Look who's sitting in 8th right now. I mean, he started in 8th. We have Ig in 8th place. That Williams is doing not too bad so far in this opening stage.
Looks like Reese Dainty, Luke Range, and Owen, the big winners in lap 1. Surprised from Reese Dainty to have a lot of spots gained there on lap 1, considering what I've seen in recent races, let alone in general from Reese, usually getting poor starts. But now, it's worked out beautifully for him to cover off the guys behind and get another Red Bull 1-2.
And as you were mentioning about with those biggest winners between Luke and Owen and Reese, two of the biggest losers right now is Tadpole and Minico. Minico started in 6th place. He's down to 13th.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Maybe bogged down at the start, I have to assume. I mean, we're about to end lap 2 right here, and both McLarens are outside the points. That's a very big shock here for this race, to say the least. Jack Miles overtook TB, got the move done, and now Skither wants a move on his teammate. Here's the Chiller showing on the inside line, can't do it. Cookie continuing to improve on the fastest lap that he set already. He set a lot of those this season. But now, Egg trying to muscle past Owen for 8th place. He's now got a car alongside. That was KVS, but now the door is being shut there. And here comes Jack Miles trying to get another place. It's Carlson this time. 5th place on our board. He'll get it for the time being. And up in front of that, the Chiller, 2nd place is now his. He's not had a podium in over a season. And oh no, Jack's been tapped again at turn 4. TB's involved too.
And TB just came flying in out of nowhere. I think both Mercedes were planning to overtake Carlson into turn number 6, but TB, good God, that was a launch and a half, and it really screwed him up.
Minico getting Gecko and Luke here, 3 wide. Oh my lord, Gecko almost into the wall, and he does tap the wall. Oh my gosh. That was absolutely hairy between the both of them. And yeah, you said about TB, he came from miles back. We switched to Chiller and Reese for a moment because TB wasn't even thinking of making a move.
Wow, that was just wild there, but the battles ain't over yet because Skither trying to harass his teammate, saying, hey, I'm a little faster, why don't you let me through so I can hunt down the guys ahead? But the Chiller, I mean, sometimes when he's in a good, comfortable zone where he is in P3, he can be a tiny bit on the stuff side and try to say, no, I can handle it. I think I can get close. And he's trying to, staying all over the back of Reese. Meanwhile, Egg slingshots around on the long way around past TB to get himself back into 8th place. TB falling down to 9th.
With the way they're battling, it's a NASCAR race into some of these corners after DRS, and here comes the Chiller once again on Reese, but can't get the move done. Jack gets the move done on Carlson. It's absolutely crazy, the DRS train here. 5th all the way back to 17th, where Zakaria and Blonde were overtaking one another just a moment ago, too.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the this is basically the mega DRS train here at this event, and I'm wondering, I can't tell honestly if TB has any damage from that collision he had with Jack. It doesn't look it, but I mean I know Jack, he's probably not happy with TB sending that slingshot down. But now we're on to the Vegas Strip. Now the question is which one of these guys is going to wind up blinking first to go for an overtake? Looks like Carlson eyeing an opportunity against Jack, and he makes it look like clockwork and easy work. And the Chiller far ahead gets down the inside against Reese. He's ahead up in the second.
Yeah, it looks like everybody just wanting to put on the battery, or in Carlson's case, not needing to put on the battery with how it is on the run to these turns. Reese Dainty trying to go for an up and under, making the Chiller think and go protective, and now he'll have his teammate there for company behind, but the Chiller squeezing Reese, and now Skither gets the opportunity the long way around. Here's Reese Dainty on the inside line. They do touch there, the two, but Reese Dainty ahead of Skither. Both champions right there almost coming together. How about all 4 champions there in the top 4, except for Luke Grange there in 12th.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, Cookie, the current crown champion, Reese, last season's champion, Skither, the season 6 and 7 champion, and the Chiller, the inaugural champion.
Minico
this
trying to get a spot here on TB up in front of that. Ex-teammates right there. We've got Luke Range as well right behind. It's all kicking off.
Owen just fell out of DRS against Jack.
Let's see as they go down the strip this time on lap 5. I mean, we had the safety car to start this race last season that prevented this type of action from continuing on and on and on. But the action that we had missed last season, continuing on and on and on, is happening now. And here comes Reese Dainty, here comes Skither. It's a 3-car race here, and Reese Dainty went protective, but they're about to be 3 abreast into the next corner. Reese Dainty getting out ahead, now Skither there, ahead of the Chiller, and now Carlson trying to make the moves on the Chiller. It's all getting very racy here for P4, and add Jack Miles to the mix.
Yeah, literally these 5 drivers as Skither down the inside gets Reese as they cross the start-finish line. Literally these 5 cars, Skither, Reese, the Chiller, Carlson, Egg. You can fit all 5 of these inside a sleeping bag, and that's how tight the action is between the 5 of them.
Well, now, oh no! Reese Dainty around, and that's a tap from a Ferrari. Oh no!
I managed to catch that just in time, but I think the Chiller and Reese were thinking the exact same thing. They went to the right to overtake. Well, in Reese's mind was trying to overtake Skither. The Chiller thought the same thing against Reese. They had just the minorest of touch. Reese's right rear to the Chiller's left front, and that just caused a major imbalance for both of the two, and Reese going off and around, and now he's down all the way in 14th, and I'm trying to see with the car. I don't see, oh yes he is, oh, never mind. No, he doesn't have any damage, by the looks of it.
Well, now make your move down the strip. Here comes Carlson. Opportunity wide open for him. He's through. And also entering KVS and Egg up to 6th and 7th here, getting the advantage on Owen. And it's getting very, very racy here to this section. TB's been put on the wall. Minico and him made contact there. Yeah, and now for second place. Second place up for grabs. Carlson's not going to get it this time, but locks up the brakes and almost hit the back of Skither there.
Yeah, but even if Carlson does try to attempt to make an overtake on him, Skither has the ERS available to use, because Carlson, even with DRS, he has 33% ERS, while Skither has over 80 available.
Wow, I mean, the ERS difference here is going to play a big factor here with this being a major DRS train in this race tonight. But that was a McLaren there going wide at that corner. I think that was Luke Range, and Egg has lost it. Egg has lost it from P7, and he's in the wall. And Owen may get that 3-second removed. He had to avoid him. He got a straight corner cutting penalty.
Yeah, I wound up seeing that. Yeah, Owen had to take evasive action, so it is definitely for sure that penalty will be taken down, because Owen, he didn't know where Egg was going to be going, but that is a tough break for Egg.
Oh,
Egg was hanging around in 7th place.
Oh no! Blonde and Zakari have come together, and that is very, very destructive for both of their races.
Blonde has no wing, but crazily no VSC deployed for that. I think that's because Tempo is a mile and a half away, as Egg now trying to recoup some of that loss that he had from that spin around. He's now reclaimed 12th from Wavy Knife.
Everyone's trying to reclaim some places too. I mean, I could see Carlson just ducking out now, and big incident there up in front. That's Zakaria around now. Zakaria was the one who had made contact with Blonde just earlier there, so maybe he has some other damage that he would have got from that incident. More yellow flags. Blonde to the pit lane. Here's the Chiller now. Here's the Chiller now on Carlson. He's finally looking to make the move, but he backs off just before the braking zone, and in the background we can see Minico up another place. Minico finally getting up some more places after he fell back at the start, and Luke Grange doing the same after a horrible qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, just taking a look at it, I'm on board with KVS right now, as Minico had a bit of a slide in the braking zone of the sphere, but very good attack by Minico to get himself into that 6th place spot. Meanwhile, just still a little bit further ahead, it's still a brawl for that 2nd place with Skither, Carlson, the Chiller, and Jack. I'm wondering who's going to wind up blinking first. Looks like Carlson is looking to eye a shot, Wondering if he's going to try to get the attack before the braking zone. Here he comes. And he slingshots his way past. Skither decides, nah, it's not my race to fight. And Carlson is up into second place.
The more the battling, the more it allows Cookie to pull away, and it looks like Owen and Luke have traded spots once again for P8. Wow. Well, this is a crazy race to say the least so far, and it looks like it's not stopping one bit here on to lap 9. ERS saved much more for Skither in comparison to the cars around him. And speaking of the cars around others, here's TB and Luke, two other champions racing it out. And Luke is just pushing TB now, almost spinning him around, and Luke had to back off there, else he was going to spin him around.
Yeah, as you mentioned, this is, I mean, literally pretty much all the champions that were in, well, with the exception of one, we've had pretty much 9 of the 10 champions here in this grid. I've already mentioned Reese, Cookie, Skither, and the Chiller, but the other ones that we have not mentioned, we have Luke sitting in 10th, the Season 3, 4, and 5 champion, basically having one of the most dominant seasons in Season 3, which some of his records are looking to be broken by Cookie as the season winds down. TB, who's sitting in 9th, despite some of the incidents that he had prior. He is the Season 8 champion with Ferrari.
Speaking of records, I don't think it's the only one there for Luke's records to be broken today. If Cookie wins, he will tie the all-time Red Bull winning record at 15. Here comes Carlson. He's already looking to make the move, ducking out and through on Skither. An easy DRS move right there, but Skither seems to be waiting for the long game here, saving that ERS. And further behind that, there's some moves being made, the furthest one coming from Metal and Reese Dainty.
And Reese plummeting down now Reese having to plummet down all the way to the 15th spot, and Jack has decided to come in.
Oh boy. That can be interesting, though, of course, with the undercut. I'm surprised we haven't seen any of the soft runners pit already. Here's TB on Owen right there, getting the move done. And I believe that was further back with Cardian Blonde, too. Here's Skither. Here's Carlson. Here's the Chiller. It's a 3-car race right there. Sorry to miss that, but Skither's now through.
Yeah, Skither back across to get himself back into second place. The Chiller thought of eyeballing a shot to get in there. No, he does not. Meanwhile, a little further back, Luke clears Owen to get into 8th place. And Egg, like in... Oh, wait a minute. Owen's got no wing.
Oh, so Owens had something happen, and there we go. He's alongside Gecko, and they're both in the wall.
What the... I just saw Owen's car just go airborne.
I know. I saw that, too. I was wondering.
I just clipped that. That was actually very funny to watch.
10 seconds now, the gap between Cookie and Skither. And, of course, with Skither overtaking Carlson, the ERS mind games come in. Not the DRS tactics yet, the ERS mind games. 81% for Skither, who's being overtaken, but 46 for Carlson. With that Alpine Straight speed, you don't need to use much, but he's not got much on the tank. Egg and Luke racing now. Here's Owen and Gecko still racing it out here. Owen pinching ahead, but Gecko back ahead. Surely he'll come in though this lap.
Literally with no wing, you're just flying your way through, and looks like some more cars are going to be coming in. We have KVS coming in, Egg as well, Luke and Owen.
I think Luke just scraped the pit wall there on the pit entrance, though. I don't think he picked up any damage, but very, very marginal there with Luke and that wall. Now for second place, once again, put a blanket over these three. The Chiller, I notice him doing this constantly to save ERS because he's very low on the battery, and he was much lower on the start. He's backing off there before turn 6 and still staying in DRS, but also trying not to hit the car in front either.
What's wild is that a lot of these guys, we have a lot of medium tire guys that have come in. They're onto the hard compound tires. Meanwhile, the guys on the soft compound, that being Tadpole and Reese, they got off of those soft compound tires. They are onto the medium compound tires.
Can I just cut you off for a second? I've been waiting to say it, but Dainty has overtaken Dainty as Dainty comes out of the pit lane. Here's Skither for second place now. Finally turning on the jets, and he's through.
Yes, yeah, they're just putting that big exclamation point on against Carlson, and now let's see what as these guys go through. I'm wondering what's going to happen with some of the medium tire guys that's still yet to pit. We have Wavy, Minico, DeChiller, and Cookie still yet to pit. Cookie has still stayed out. Looks like DeChiller and Minico are doing the same thing, but looks like Wavy is not going to be sticking around longer on those mediums. He's into the pits as well, and TB, the first of the hard tires, into the pits now.
I'd even argue this is one of the most more trickier pit lanes to get it in. I must say, we've got second place.
That's what she said.
Excuse me, DeChiller going through on Carlson. Carlson almost getting the braking wrong and hitting the back of him, but DeChiller finally through, and both them below 50% on that battery. Let's see when TB and Wavy come out of the pit lane if they are alongside Tadpole. No, they're not. Out of this race in the pit lane is Zakaria. He's the first one to go. And we have Wavy defending Reese now. Oh ho ho. Wavy's still going ahead. Well, this is a very interesting battle. Wavy trying to break late there at turn 6. Reese Dainty almost shoving him in the wall. But now Reese Dainty with the later lunge trying to go through. Side by side now. Here to the chicane. And touching. Reese off track. May have to give the spot back. Wavy diving back down the inside. Carlson getting through on the straight as well. But now Reese Dainty finally back through there. I must say, with those undercuts, Blonde also caught up too. So fair play right there. This should be a very interesting race when the pit stops all cycle out. Carlson gone through for third place, reclaiming that spot. And you mentioned Cookie Titan. He may be trying to go to the softs. And TB's around.
Wow, that's interesting. Looks like he went off in the spot where Lando, Lando Norris or George Russell crashed? Oh yeah, it was Lando Norris that crashed in the real life race. The Chiller's into the pits.
Jack Miles now racing Metal here for 7th place. One's pitted, one's not. Metal still yet to pit, but wanting to give him some action. It's Jack Miles staying ahead. The Chiller, though, with this overcut, will he be out ahead of Luke Grange? The answer is yes. Interesting, though, because this closes up KVS and all these guys who went for pit stops earlier than anticipated. I'm wondering if Minico and Cookie go to the soft tires. But like I was saying about this pit lane, it's such a tricky one to get it down to the speed you need to get it down to. You just have to brake as heavily as possible, because if you don't, and you try to go full throttle before you have to brake, well, you could end up like Gecko did in qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. And with some of these guys that are still out and about on the track with these tires, guys like Cookie, Carlson, Minico, and Gecko, I believe these four, when they pit eventually, they'll be going on to the soft compound tires. But Skither, I mean, he could, but I think it's going to be a very, very big gamble. He'll probably go onto the medium compound tires, and that's mainly because of Ferrari's abysmal tire wear in this game.
Cookie is still staying out, so he's extending to the point where he wants to go to the soft tires. Here's Egg DRSing past Luke, and now here's another DRS pass. How about Wavy and Tadpole? Wavy through.
And Wavy through into the 13th place position ahead of Tadpole. Egg getting past Luke Grange to put himself into P10, which means he is looking at a point at this present moment. So Egg looking pretty solid so far. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Does Egg actually have a spot for season 10, tier 1? That's
11?
Season 10, season 11.
Yeah, he does. It's with Haas, and now yellow flags. That is a Haas around. Owen just pinched Tadpole, and now TB has to deal with him, and yellow flags. That's for Metal, who's got into some trouble.
Yeah, something must have happened to Metal there, because he was in that 7th place spot, but he's lost quite a lot of time.
He was yet to pit too.
Yeah, I don't see any damage on. I don't think I see any damage on that Alfa Romeo. He looks okay at this present time. Meanwhile, it looks like towards the front we have more fighting going on, but this time Carlson still trying to catch Skither to try to go for that 2nd place, but unfortunately he's not close enough to warrant an attack. Ooh, little rear snap in that braking zone. Carlson keeps it together though.
Here's Luke Range once again trying to regain 10th place, and he will do just that. So, obviously one of the drivers who've already pitted, making a move on another driver who's already pitted. But behind them, interestingly enough, let's see how this recovery drive ends up being from Reese Dainty with others still yet to pit. They've got battling behind him, though, so that's helping him out. It's the three, actually, Merck Academy cars. It's the two asses, though, who overtook. Metal, overtaken here on the main straight. And Minico is in for softs. He's going to be probably one of two drivers to go to softs.
Yeah, and then looks like by the looks of it, I think Minico is gonna just beat Reese out, and he does.
Here's
so
Egg with the up and under on Metal. Woo. How about a switcheroo there for P9? We've not seen a lot of those happen today, but that's our first one. Halfway through this race already. How about that?
I will say that was quite a bold overtake by Egg. I mean, literally, this is probably the second wildest overtake we've seen so far this race. The previous one was with Minico in that 3 wide with his teammate in Gecko. That was probably one of the wildest overtakes I've seen in this race so far.
Interestingly enough, when Cookie pits, because the pit stop loss here is 17 seconds, he will come out only 4 seconds ahead of Jack Miles, who would have done a massive, massive undercut if things were to cycle out right now. We've got Carlson just behind Skither here into the braking zone. The Chiller now overtaking Gecko. Cookie still staying out. And Egg slipstreaming, drafting, passing Luke Range.
Yeah, Egg is really showing his stride here, and just a bit behind them, Minico clearing Metal to get himself into the 10th place spot, and looks like Carlson and Skither are into the pits.
Reese Dainty clipping the wall again. He was just behind Metal. Metal finally in. Gecko in two. Gecko in two, by the way. Here we come out of the pit lane. Luke and Egg jumping both. The Ferrari and the Alpine, it looks like. Oh, that was so close to contact between two Academy teammates, and add Minico into the mix. How about really racy here into the next sector, into the next set of corners. Both McLaren side by side. Skither is ahead. Egg back down to P6. But now, these undercuts playing big dividends here to these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And when they came out, Egg was ahead of both Carlson and Skither. Luke only managed to get Carlson into that braking zone. Luke moved aside to let Carlson through, but it also allowed Minico through. So Luke, being the team player for this group, and Carlson sitting in that 7th place spot. Minico in 8th. Bear in mind though, Minico is on the softer compound tire than Carlson. Carlson on fresh mediums. But those mediums need a moment to head up as Carlson down on the outside gets past Egg into the 6th place spot. Can he hunt down, go for 2 for 1? I say likely. Here he comes down the inside. He gets Scyther as well. Skither as well. He is up into 5th place. A little bouncy on the curb there, but Skither up into P5. Minico followed through and got Egg for 7th.
Tadpole in the background just got overtaken by 2 cars in one straight, but as Cookie comes out, he's only got a 3-second gap, but he's got the fresher, better tires. It's the soft tires. And his rivals as well, they're all in a battle too. Also, big shout out here to NRM KVS. With the massive undercut, he's up to P4.
Yeah, KVS really showing his stride here. He's been really good in there as Carlson got stuck behind KVS and whoa, baby! Oh my God! No way!
3 abreast here into the sphere, and Skither getting out ahead on 2. Minico ahead on KVS, and there's contact. Oh, it's getting a little bit of touchy there, but Carlson gets P5, Minico P6, and KVS down to P7.
I was looking at the back camera of Carlson. KVS drifted up just a tiny bit into Minico. That's what caused a little bit of contact. But Carlson and Minico now both hounding on Skither to try to go for that 4th go for fourth and basically fifth, Minico is probably gonna have to be sticking with Carlson in that DRS. And Minico, don't forget, Minico at the start of this race lost 7 positions at the start. Carlson down the inside gets fourth place back from Skither. I mean, literally, this brawl between these two, it is far from over.
Carlson having a really good race, and he's now on for a podium because DeChiller and Jack are on the hard tires in front of that. They're on the slower tires. Gecko also getting through on Wavy. Here's some moves. Skither maybe looking, ducking out? No. Luke Range was ducking out, though, on KVS. And these three, 7th, 8th, and 9th, on the hard tires, but still on for points. So now, DRS now on the run to turn 6. Minico behind Skither. These two collided back in Austria, but this time they're trying to chase after Carlson. None of them going to make a move.
Neither one plan to make a move there, and same with Luke Range. He was eyeing an
Gecko
opportunity against KBS.
Gecko and Owen, both in the wall. Owen had to avoid himself crashing, but he went in the wall in the process. Gecko, I think, just tapped the wall there because of how much he was being pinched by Owen. That I caught the last moment, and that was scary.
That was probably a scary moment there. I wasn't catching the end of it just like you did.
Yeah, that was treacherous.
Ooh, baby.
Well, Ken DeChiller leapfrog himself up to 2nd place in this race. Now he's on the back of Jack, and now Egg and Luke now getting very, very racy.
Luke, well.
In the wall. Skither again. Is he going to make the move? Is he going to make the move? No, he's going to sit behind. Egg as well. Not done. Neither is Reese. Luke looking, can't make the move. Wow.
But yeah, at the exit of that corner for the strip, as Reese goes down the inside against Egg, gets himself into that position. By the way, I just noticed on the timing chart that George took Jack for 2nd place.
Yeah, I caught that too. I caught that there. It was a little right-left there from the Chiller, it looked like, and Tadpole through for 16th. Those guys aren't out of the mix of things as well if we get a safety car. Both Aston Martins end up making contact there. That's Owen and Wavy, but now Luke Range is looking down the inside. He's going to sneak a peek for the place, and that's Owen out of this race. Speaking of safety cars, I just mentioned the possibility. The possibility is now real. It's deployed. The safety car's out.
Yeah, so safety car is deployed. So this is going to throw everything into disarray here.
That 12-second lead is wiped away.
It's over almost 16 seconds.
Well, it is because the Chiller is backing off here under the safety car, debating on what he wants to do. Does he want to pit? Does he want to stay out here? This could be really interesting here if some people do stay out, but I think this has been one of the most dramatic races so far this season. Just constant DRS passing. I feel like we're watching a NASCAR race at Talladega just with F1 cars with how it is. Formula NASCAR.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing I did notice in regards to the gaps, there is going to be a minor double stack for the McLaren team because
Ferrari
Minico, Luke 4.8 seconds. I think Ferrari should be okay, maybe.
Stay within those white lines. That's what got Reese Dainty penalized in this race last season. Everybody's being very, very careful. Carlson has spun on the entrance of the pit lane. I'm not sure if he was tapped, but that will be troubling.
That was not good. I think Carlson locked up because he was behind. I think he was behind. I'm not sure who he was behind, but I think Carlson locked up
Skither
to try to avoid hitting Skither, and that's why he spun.
He was near Skither. I don't know if he was just behind Jack and DeChiller, but TB and Minico both going mediums here. I'm gonna guess they have no fresh softs, but wowee. Tadpole stays out. He had pitted 3 laps prior. He needed something here to get another place to have a chance for points. And the only driver with a penalty in this race is Jack Andrews. He had a 5-second speeding there under the safety car into the pit lane. He's a lap down, actually.
Yeah, he is, and he's actually behind. And he's behind He is behind the leader of Cookie, so unfortunately, Jack Andrews, he's probably not going to be allowed to overtake the safety car and such to get back onto the lead laps. So that means the Chiller is now going to have a bigger problem in regards to the restart because he has a lapped car to get past.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, we're going to get a late race restart here. And the Chiller has a chance for his first podium since Hungary midway through last season. Jack Miles looking for a podium with another team this season. It's Mercedes this time. And Minico is looking for what would be his second. Well, I'm really surprised that he doesn't even have a podium. The Chiller. Or not the Chiller. Yeah, the Chiller this season, I would say. But everybody on the soft tires except for two runners, TB and Minico, who I'm guessing, like I said, didn't have maybe an extra set of softs there to go for. Well, keep in mind if you want to stay tuned for the action here in RPL Tier 1 or Tier 2. We got Tier 2 next week at China. Or sorry, Tier 2 next week at Bahrain, F1 at China. Our return there will be next week. That should be tons of fun. But yeah, Reese Dainty as well. Help from the safety car though, because he was absolutely nowhere before it and trying to recover. He did get the undercut though on some of these guys. Benefited from that. Carlson spun out of the pit lane. But the Chiller and Jack, the two big winners from the undercut though, still in their spots that they were. KVS is in the points. Egg is in the points. And TB, with 23 consecutive starts, maybe not happy with number 24 tonight being outside of the points at this current set of time.
Yeah, TB currently outside the points. That's not good for him. If my memory's right, I believe he's sitting third in the standings or somewhere around there. Just taking a peek at the driver's standings. If thing would load up. Yes, he is. He is in third right now with 185. He is only 6 points ahead of Reese, which means Reese right now, he is going to be equal to TB on points. But if basically the season ended there and these two finished where they were, Reese would get third over TB on countback because while TB and Reese are equal on wins, Reese has more P2s than TB. That difference being Reese with 3, TB with 2.
Interestingly enough, last week, Reese Dainty ended up claiming the most P3s of any driver. But now, we're about to get the restart underway, I think, here in the thick of time. The safety car speeding up but not coming in yet. Now it is.
Oh, it is coming in.
Yes, it is. So here we
Cookie
go.
in control.
One last restart.
Cookie in control. Yeah, Cookie in control. The Chiller has that lap car he's going to have to deal with. He's better hopes that Jack Andrews responds quick. And he actually does.
Not good enough, though, for the Chiller, because look at this. Everybody scatters behind. Skither through on Jack. Jack's been affected. KVS and Luke are racing. Gecko and Tadpole. And I think the Chiller having to give it back. What's happening here?
The safety car's back on the track.
The safety car is back out on the track. 5 seconds for some of these guys. Jack.
What the heck is...
The Chiller. What is going on?
God. Oh my God.
What is going on? It's back to green flag racing, but there's no green flag racing here.
Oh my goodness. This is not good. This is not good at all because it's the safety car went into the pits but then immediately came back out.
Do I see any motion in driver's chat? No, no one's saying anything in the driver's chat. Well, Jack Andrews is about to. Safety car was not in that lap. That's what he says.
Well, hopefully, well, I'm not sure if the Chiller and Jack are gonna get their penalties removed. I don't know.
Is Cookie even in control of his car? You've got to wonder, what is going on? I'll tell you right now, I'm going to send this to the commentators chat, Titan. I've got the order in case there is a restart, because I would assume we'd have a 5-lap shootout if anything were to happen, but it is still blinking safety car, yet showing green flag racing. You don't want to overtake here because you would get penalized, and it would be glitched.
Yeah, I think that's possibly what happened. I think this is glitched because literally you had Jack Andrews who moved out of the way, and the Chiller and Jack, the reason they got their penalties was because they overtook that lap car.
Now it looks like the safety car is coming in. We may get some racing here, but I think the DRS will be enabled on the last few laps. Finally, the safety car is in after a weird glitched ending here in Vegas, but Cookie is away, and this time the Chiller's closing. Luke Range as well is getting the move done on Reese. This is for 7th place, and further up in front of that, Jack Andrews is getting out of the way. Luke through on Reese, yellow flags further back, but now Reese Dainty is trying to get Carlson, and Carlson's been muscled out of the way. Luke Range through, KVS now trying to get through too.
KVS flying in, putting a pinch job on Carlson. Ooh, baby. That was tight there.
Tight. Wow. Well, if the Chiller and Jack don't get their 5 seconds removed, you get Minico and Skither onto the podium. This is what this race is turning into. But right now, we're only having 3 laps of racing remaining, and what might only be 1 lap for DRS.
Yeah, this is gonna be wild to say the least. Anything can happen in regards to this race, as Cookie is now over a second ahead of the Chiller. The Chiller trying to hold Jack off. Woo!
Wavy and TB bang. That's for 11th place. And now the fight is still not done. Wavy is hanging on, but TB wants to get past. And up in front of that, Carlson trying to regain some places that he lost. He's up to 8th place, but now he's going to get 7th.
TB still on the inside against Wavy. This is going to be war, oh, baby. Tight and tight.
Up in front
Wavy
of that.
not giving it up.
For a place here with Skidder and Minico. Skidder going right, now going left, jockeying it out down the inside. He's gonna go through. TB gets Wavy, and now Minico wants to do a switchback, but he can't do it. Tadpole,
attempted to
Wavy,
fight back.
Blonde, such a kerfuffle here. Sorry, Titan. Contact. That was Gecko and Blonde. Luke getting Carlson. It's all kicking off. And I don't think it'll be done because the Chiller and Jack will have to appeal that in the stewards room.
Yeah, they're gonna try to fight it because, like I said, the reason they got the penalty was because they thought the race was green, and they got the penalty for overtaking the lapped car of Jack Andrews. That's why they had the penalty. Meanwhile, speaking of which, Jack on the outside of the Chiller, and he gets it.
Blonde is out of this race. That's only with 2 laps to go. Now, Jack is holding on for 2nd place, but the Chiller hungry for yet another podium here in RPL F1. Here he comes down the strip. He's got the momentum, but Skither, his teammate, following in pursuit. No DRS just yet, but the Chiller is on the move, and so is Skither. Will they go 3 abreast into the next corners? Oh my God, 5 cars under a blanket. Here's the Chiller going through, but now behind them, they're 2 by 2. Reese Dainty getting boxed in, and he's still being boxed in. Here's Skither pinching. Final lap for Cookie.
Yeah, what a brawl there.
And it's still not done. Reese Dainty back down the inside. It's Jack Miles he's trying to get now. Minico's there for company, and the end of the point as well is still a DRS train there as DRS is enabled. Cookie pulling away from all of it though, and he's ran today beautifully. The first race is champion, but now another champion swap here. Skither and the Chiller, 2 teammates. Further on behind that, Jack Miles going for another podium. Here's the Chiller holding on, but his teammate Skither battling side by side. Sorry, that's the Chiller battling side by side. Jack through.
Jack being relentless, but now this opens the door. Reese now on the outside against the Chiller. Woo!
What
God
a move.
almighty. That was a damn good move.
That was a really good move to intercept that place, and I don't think Minico has done either on these mediums, trying to get the Chiller here. Oh my gosh,
Man,
he almost ran in the back of him and down the inside. He can't do it.
This is gonna get nuts.
Down the strip they
Luke's
go.
around.
Luke Range has crashed. Luke Range down the order. Egg getting passed by TB. And now Reese Dainty for third.
And Mick right behind, getting to Chiller as well. And now Jack down the inside against Reese.
This is gonna get tight. This is gonna get very, very tight. Cookie crossing the line now for an equaling win record for Red Bull as a team. 15.
Drag race. We got a drag race.
Neck and neck. Reese Dainty gets it. And it's still not done. Luke on Tadpole. In metal, gets the final point. But I think that'll go to Egg with the Chiller getting that appeal probably. Skither, we know he'll be P2. Reese Dainty as well crossing what I believe is P3, but I don't know where Jack and the Chiller were there at the end. I don't know where they're gonna be, but they're surely gonna appeal that 5-second with a weird, wacky ending to the Las Vegas Grand Prix.
Now everyone is going on, what the heck happened?
Well, everyone waited to go to Discord in case it did go green, so I don't blame them at all. The podium celebrations are underway, and Cookie wins at his home race once again. I think it's just Texas he's looking to do in terms of all 3 home races. But Cookie takes win 15 for Red Bull, joined on the podium by Skither. And if this ends up staying the way it is with Cookie and Skither 1-2, it will be the 7th time they've ended up 1-2. Also, something else to note as well, with that being said, it was Skither he tied for the equaling win record for Red Bull. Reese Dainty currently on the podium as things stand, but as I look with him and Jack, I think Reese Dainty will keep it. Yeah, I think he will keep it. He will keep it. Let's give a rundown through the results before we give any driver of the day mentions. Cookie with fastest lap takes the win. Skither is second. Reese Dainty is third. And this is the 4th time we've seen this podium happen from these 1, 2, 3 drivers. They're all champions, by the way, too. Minico, 4th for McLaren, missing out on a podium, might become P5. Carlson, his first proper race, first points. KVS, a really good result for Alfa Romeo. You got both Mercedes in the points, and Egg is also in the points, too. We only lost a few runners, Owen and Zakaria, though. The ones not classified.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if I had to put down my choice for who I think would be driver of the day, I would say just in regards. Oh boy, I mean, in regards to qualifying. Like the best driver of the day in regards to qualifying, there's like some good contenders. You have obviously you have Cookie putting on a dominating pole performance. You have Carlson putting that Alpine in the front row. You have KVS, who has done really good in all 3 sessions. Egg putting that Williams into Q3. That's just in the qualifying perspective. But in regards to the race itself, I mean, even with the penalties possibly getting removed, I think you have a bit of a toss-up. Well, I would say you have a toss-up. There's a toss-up between 2 drivers. You have KVS, who has played it nice and calm and managed to get himself a really good haul of points. But actually now I have a three involved. But I think it's a head-to-head between Reese and Minico. You had Reese earlier get involved in a incident in the early area of the race, was down in P15 at one point and recovered all the way to 3rd. That is very impressive. Then you had Minico at the end of lap 2, he was 14th place. They finished in 4th unofficially. That is very impressive between those two.
I think my top 3 for driver of the day would be Minico, Reese, and KVS, but if I had to give it to anybody, I'd have to give it to KVS. I mean, he put together a really solid weekend for an Alfa Romeo that has a lot of drag. I mean, it has straight line speed too, but a really good qualifying car, not a really good race car. Worked out with the undercut, and still, even with the safety car shenanigans, he ended up there in P5, P6, which I think is going to become 2 spots lower, but he did what Beatnik was able to do this race last season, and I didn't give him driver of the day, and I got a lot of backlash for it, but I'd have to give it to him. I mean, Minico is another good shout, like you said. Reasonably, what you just said, and same with Reese. That's my top 3 for driver of the day. I'd have to give it to any of those 3. Probably KVS, but hey, who knows what happens here come the storage room, because we're going to see some appeals, but the top 3 of the podium was the top 3 on track.
Yeah, that was just really wild. And also, don't forget, in the stewards room, you never know what kind of clips you'll be seeing in regards to some of the incidents that has happened. But it's going to be wild. But I think it's kind of funny that you and I both came up with the same 3 guys for driver of the day.
It's true. It's true. They deserve it the most.
Exactly.
I'd even put Cookie in that lineup too. I think Cookie is just off of them with driver of the day worthy performances. If he didn't end up having the safety car come out, we would have really ended up probably having another 20-second gap for the race victory with him and whoever was second place. But Skither on the podium, takes his 48th, his 6th at a U.S. circuit. And as for Reese, a 49th podium. He's now 19 off Luke Range, who, if you just look at the driver contracts chat, he has resolved his contract with mutual agreement. And, it's really back and forth with Luke, whether he wants to race, doesn't want to race. It's really unfortunate because our best driver statistically in RPL is really not having the time he would have wanted, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be quite interesting, as, like you said, Luke dropping to reserve by mutual agreement. So that's going to open up the door but with only like 4 rounds left, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen as the racing progresses.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week for sure. I don't really have any final thoughts in this race besides what a weird ending with the safety car, but I at least must say it was a really good race today. A lot of DRS racing. I know it's not what we like to see, just constant DRS trains, but they were passing the entire time in the DRS train. It's not like they were sitting behind one another the entire race. So we like to see people not sitting in the DRS train and just end up waiting for lap 25 or lap 24, So we saw a lot more of the closer action-packed racing that we usually would see, just with the DRS train, of course. What a weird race to end off, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll have to watch out what happens with that incident between Skither, Reese, and DeChiller, because that may also go to the stewards too. Have to find out. We return to RPL China next week. That'll be very interesting to see RPL's return there. It's interesting because the only race we've done on this game in China, whether it comes from F1, Tier 2, FE, or F2, comes from only F2. And guess what? The podium from that race, none of them will be racing in Tier 1. From one of the podiums in that race in F2, you had Choco, Blue Goggy, and Beatnik on the podium. Blue Goggy got his first podium in F2 there. And maybe we could have someone get their first podium next week in China. I don't know. Maybe Carlson? I don't know.
Who knows?
We'll have to find out. Only a matter of time. All right. Well, join us next week for Tier 2 in Bahrain as the championship continues there with JNT and JTK, and we still have a 4-way constructors fight going on there too. But the championships have been clinched here for RPL F1 Tier 1. We'll be in China next week for round 21 for the action to continue. Both championships wrapped up as we said, but second place still up for grabs. Ryan Searles, RPL Titan Iron, both your commentators here, signing off. We'll see you guys next week for both events.